INFocus Kentucky. I'm Mario Anderson. Each week this program will take a look at issues that matter to you right here in the Bluegrass State, and we'll talk to the lawmakers, community organizers, and people like you who help shape those policies. On today's show, we're taking a look at cannabis, a hot button issue here in Kentucky. We'll talk about legalization, the possible health benefits it provides, and the controversy that surrounds it. Marijuana is illegal for use as a drug in Kentucky, but the state has a long history with the production of hemp. While both marijuana and hemp are cannabis, experts say the difference between the two plants lies in the amount of THC, where hemp contains almost none. Kentucky was America's greatest producer of hemp in the 19th and 20th century, with thousands of acres of hemp in production. The Controlled Substances Act of 1970 virtually banned the production of industrial hemp, and that was the case until 2014, when then Governor Steve Beshear signed a law permitting patients to use non-psychoactive cannabis, or CBD. Today we'll take you to a hemp extraction plant here in Kentucky to see how that process takes place, but first we travel to Louisville to a town hall on the topic of legalizing the use of marijuana for medical purposes. Several dozens of people living in the city of Louisville packed 3 forums across the city to share their opinions on the hot topic of whether or not Kentucky should become the 30th state in the country to legalize medical marijuana.
So we're here to listen to the community, to understand what their concerns are, whether they're pro or con for medical marijuana, and the important elements of what might be incorporated into a successful medical marijuana should it move forward.
Now, a resolution is not a law. It is only something to urge the state legislation to pass this. If we pass this resolution, we would send it to the state legislators and let them know that the majority of our people here in Louisville, by these 3 forums that we've had, have strongly come out in favor of legalization of medical marijuana.
Councilwoman Welsh is one of 12 co-sponsors who signed onto the original resolution urging the Kentucky General Assembly to adopt new medical marijuana legislation, an issue that has been met with overwhelming support by those attending the forum.
I have heard nothing but overwhelming support. I've not heard from one constituent who opposes the idea of medical marijuana. All across the city, I'm hearing from individuals who suffer from chronic pain, and many of them who have gotten addicted to painkillers. And so this is a wonderful option for these folks to be able to have the opportunity to live a normal life. And so I think that it could be a good thing for the state. And should it pass, we want to have as much input as we can from members of our community.
Molly Rutherford is a doctor who specializes in care for those who are dealing with addiction, but says she hasn't seen enough evidence that proves marijuana is actually a medicine.
We don't have all of the information that we need to be able to say that it's safe to prescribe marijuana as a medication, at least not in a smoked form. And it's my understanding that CBD oil is available pretty much over the counter for anybody who wants to try that for the things that it has been indicated for. But as far as the marijuana plant, which has many, many, many substances in it and has a lot of harm associated with it, I, as a physician, am not comfortable making that certification.
Dan Symes says he disagrees with the doctor's belief and has been advocating for medical cannabis to be legalized for the last 5 years, and admits while the use of cannabis is considered taboo by most, he says it's impacted his and others' health in a positive way.
Because it's helped me in depression and anxiety, and when you talk about PTSD and thoughts of war, you just no relation, and if they say it helps, then daggone it, we ought to help them get it, you know.
Earlier this week, we visited with Kentucky State Representative John Sims Jr., the leading sponsor of House Bill 166 that, if passed, would allow patients with certain health conditions to use medical marijuana for pain relief. Thanks for joining us, Representative Sims.
Glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
And talk to us about House Bill 166. Give us a little bit of a background of how this got underway and why you wanted kind of be the primary sponsor of this bill.
Right. I have constituents in Mason County that are mine, and they have an organization called Kentuckians for Medical Marijuana. And when I first decided to run for the House seat, they came and visited me and gave me his story, and I was intrigued and I wanted to help those folks. So back last year's session in 17, I filed a medical marijuana bill. It was just 2 pages then. I really didn't know what I was doing. So it didn't go anywhere in the House. So this year we came back with a bigger bill and gathered information from the 29 other states plus District of Columbia that have medical cannabis and put in this gold standard bill that we have here in Kentucky.
And talk about the process with this bill. It is both sides of the aisle are representing as co-sponsors. So talk to us about that process of working with the different legislators to kind of draft the action.
Yeah, it's time for Kentucky to move forward. Like I said, 29 other states, District of Columbia, Virginia, and Tennessee are on the verge of having medical cannabis in their states, and we just need to get Kentucky moving forward and not be last.
And talk about the process for someone who needs marijuana for health reasons to be able to purchase it. Why is that important?
Once, if we get this established, you have to go to a physician. The physician has to put an application into the Medical Cannabis Board. It's to be a new board created by the fund is created. The doctor will have to be approved by the state. And then if the doctor gets approved, you have to have a patient-doctor relationship already in place. It won't be like a pill mill thing. You just can't go to here pop-up pill mills. We don't want that, so we can work that in. You'll go see if your physician, if he's approved, and if he thinks you are a candidate for cannabis, he'll recommend. It's a recommendation. It's not a prescription. It's a recommendation that you can get cannabis. So with that recommendation, you have to send it into the state. That same board will have to approve you or deny you. Once, if you get approved, you'll get a license through the state. It's a hard plastic card, and once you get approved, you can go to a dispensary. It won't be at a pharmacy because the federal law prohibits pharmacies from selling cannabis. So it will have its own storefront, compassion centers, what they're called. So you go to the compassion center and shop around, see what you need for your certain medical condition, and buy it and take it home and use it, and hopefully it will help your condition improve.
From some of the research that you've come across, is it true that marijuana does help all types of illnesses that are out there?
It does, and it shows in other states, starting out, their qualifying conditions are kind of small, and over the years they have added to that to help. It's my view, it's a plant. God gives it to us. He grows it. Let's use it. It's there for us to use.
Now, is it true, or with the House Bill 166, will there be a limit on the amount that one person could buy?
There is an amount on it, yeah. In the bill, there's some home grows, a chance for home grows for people in rural Kentucky, or they can afford it. We had a bigger number of plants. We reduced that size in plants to get some more support, bipartisan support on the bill.
And talk about the tax part of this purchasing, the sale of marijuana. How would that work?
Well, I asked for a physical note on it, and they couldn't give us one since we don't have it here in Kentucky. So I'm projecting it to be hopefully around $100 million, maybe more. It just depends. 20% of that goes back to the locals on law enforcement to help with, to help hire drug recognition experts and stuff like that.
And talk with us a little bit more about this House Bill 166 with cities versus counties. How would that work in Kentucky if someone wanted to open up a dispensary?
It leaves it up to the local government first to opt in. A city can opt in, or a fiscal court can opt in, or vice versa, either one. If they don't choose to, within 2 years, your voters in the district can get a petition, like a wet dry vote petition together with a certain amount of signatures needed, and it can be held. It won't be a special election, so we don't want to cost the counties and cities more. It will be held on a regular election and just be on the ballot.
And for a person or company that would want to potentially open up a dispensary, what's the process for them?
They have to file an application with the state. Everything is ran through this board, from the growers to cultivators to the compassion centers. It's all controlled by the state board.
Coming up, more with Representative Sims, and we hear from one of Sims' colleagues who used to be against the legalization of medical marijuana. He tells us what changed his mind. Stick with us. You're watching INFocus Kentucky.